What is up, Blues? Welcome to my channel. And finally, episode 6 of Chels Vibes is here after a couple of months. I'm back here with my podcast. And in this episode, we have Carlito from London is Blue podcast. Welcome, Carlo.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? London is Calling podcast. I would like to differentiate myself between Calling and London is Blue, completely different podcasts. And I'll tell you what, completely different guys. But, hey, man, I am very excited to be here. I know that you're stationed in Cali.
Yes.
West Coast. It's an unbelievable place to go. I incentivize anybody living in London listening to this to go to California. It is a miraculous paradise.
Yep. And I'm in Cali recently. Has been a little bit crazy with the lockdown and stuff. But,
yeah.
You know, this COVID got everywhere, like, messed up. But
Gavin Newsom's a wild boy, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But here we go. The first topic, we're going to start with today's game. Obviously, we beat Sevilla 4-0 in their own stadium. And Mr. Olivier Giroud put in a 10 out of 10 performance. What are your thoughts on the game?
All right. So let me preface this by saying before the game, I wanted Frank Lampard to play to win. And personally, because this is not the NFL and players do not require 6 days rest, I think that asking your starters to play twice a week is perfectly reasonable. So let me just preface by saying that. When I saw the lineup, I noticed there were 9 changes from Sunday. 9 changes.
Yes.
That's a significant amount. That's not a little bit. That's a lot. I mean, that's your entire team that's basically changing, minus 2 guys. One of them is a goalkeeper. So when I saw Giroud was playing, Cal Hudson-Odoi, when I saw that the back line was completely different and that Conte was also not playing, I was not concerned, but I felt as though the team, the manager, and the fan base were not taking it as seriously as I hoped them to, where you see all these things on Chelsea Twitter like, oh, we don't need to win. We don't need to win. Yeah, we do. We absolutely need to win.
Yes.
So that being said, I am not a fan of Olivier Giroud. I think that Chelsea is moving on from Olivier Giroud because he's 34. He's very slow. And a significant part of our team, offensively and defensively, is pace. Pace on the press and pace on the counter. And he doesn't really fit the bill. He is a very old school number 9 target man, an Alan Shearer type, but even slower. And that's fine, but that's just not the direction that we're headed. Nevertheless, I'm not gonna shit on him. I am gonna give him props when props is due, but I still believe we are gonna move on. What do you think in particular about the way we played? Because for me, the first half was very sloppy, but the second half, as soon as it started, it was over for Sevilla. It was over.
To be fair, I was happy that we stick with 4-3-3.
Yep.
When I saw Jorginho and Kovacic, I was like, maybe we're gonna play that 4-2-3-1. And I'm not really a fan of the 4-2-3-1 unless we have like a DM, like someone. I feel like Conte, when he plays in that 4-2-3-1, I feel like he's like a little bit more advanced. So I think as a result, we have to play like, I don't know, like a DM next to him, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I was happy that he stick with 4-3-3, and then we had those 2 number 8s. Our wingers were like a little bit off in the first half, like especially Pulisic. He was a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we got the 4-0 win. And I think the defenders, especially Emerson and Rudiger, surprised me. I expected like a small rotation. But as you said, there were like 9 changes, and it's good that we got like a 4-0 win.
So one of the players I really want to highlight in particular is Emerson Palmieri. I really like Emerson Palmieri. I think that he has some interesting characteristics that even sometimes Ben Chilwell maybe is not as good at. I also sympathize with his national team plight. I know that Mancini is forcing him to get minutes, and if that means he can't get him in Chelsea, he's going to have to go probably back to Italy to get them, right? Because he doesn't want to go to Brazil. But I'm very glad that he's at least finding at least a reduced role on this team, because I do like Palmieri. Rudiger was solid. He made a couple mistakes, but he's always prone to do that. AC, I love AC. But he has really fallen out with the fan base and with the manager and with his staff. But I don't want to sell him, and I don't think he wants to leave. I don't like Azpilicueta. I think he's a fake leader. And you're going to find some of my opinions are contrary to a lot of what people think. But I coached for 12 years. I'm 32, but I played for 27 and I coached for 12. So the playing and coaching overlapped. But so I really I pay attention to body language. I pay attention to leadership. I pay attention to how people react to certain moments. And you can tell when someone's pretending. You can tell when someone's overwhelmed. And you can tell when someone's overcompensating. With Azpilicueta, he does a lot of that. Like backside runs, ball watching. He gets beat all the time. He yells at the refs instead of yelling at his own players. He's very, very poor in the air. So just a lot of those things. I also just don't think he leads well. Not like Jorginho. Not like, in my opinion, which is like a shocking thing to say, but I actually think Hakeem Ziyech is a pretty good leader as well.
Yeah, I agree.
But I love that player. But I thought the back line was good. Mendy is sublime.
Yes.
And the funny thing about Mendy is that he's 6'5", and then you look at a guy like Kevin Durant in the NBA, right? Kevin Durant's 7 feet, but it doesn't really matter where your head is at. It matters where your arms are at. So Durant's arms are so long, the same way that Mendy's arms are so long, that it makes them the actual body type of someone that's 3 inches taller than them. So Mendy is just this extraordinarily long guy, huge hands, and he's an imposing presence. He's very, very thick, very strong. So just some of the signings that we've added are simply extraordinary. What do you think? What are some of the things that you saw today? Maybe some of the new guys. Kai Havertz is just majestic. I mean, what do you got?
I'll be honest. As I said before, I was very happy with the defense. There was this moment that who was it? I think it was their striker that like a clear-cut chance and he wasn't offside. I thought he was onside in the beginning, but yeah, thank God it was offside. I think he was El Nesiri or something.
Yeah,
he was, even though he was pretty much like a ghost in the game, but I think he was okay in running in behind the defense. Mm-hmm. And if like Sevilla had like a couple of like in their main players starting, I think it would have been a little bit more a different game, I would say. But again, overall, I think, as you said, Aspi, I think he's more of a soldier than a leader. I think he's not,
good analogy.
Yeah, I think he's not the best vocal person. I think he yells, but I don't think that's leading. That's what I'm a big fan of Declan Rice coming to Chelsea. I think he has that natural leading abilities in himself. I think Jorginho has got it. Ziyech is like pretty demanding. I think the way he leads is just he demands from his teammates. Yeah. Remember, like against Rennes when Werner missed it, he was just like giving him like, I don't know. No, I'm not gonna say tips, but I would say like he was just trying to say him like, hey, you gotta finish it, motivating him to like score the next ones. And
almost constructive criticism from Ziyech because his standards are so high, and if he's gonna expect it from himself, the people around him, he's gonna hold to that same standard because as much as he's got swagger and he's cool, he's also very serious. So, the way that he plays, he expects everybody else to be at that level too. And I like that he does bark instructions and criticism at times. I think that is a form of leadership without screaming.
For sure. So I think overall this game was a positive, I would say. I think
yes,
with the players that we played in the team, a lot of players were rested. So I think overall that's a good positive. I think we're going to be able to play our full strength team against Leeds, which is a very big game because we all know like Chelsea fans, we hate Leeds. So I think it's the perfect time to, play them.
That goes back to the Don Revy, Brian Clough days. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, I hate Leeds, honestly.
Billy Bremner. So I want to say a couple more things. I really want to talk about Spurs and that game, but with this one, a couple other things I want to say. Number one, Pulisic. He is trying too hard, but I'm American.
Yeah.
And I think he's the best player on Chelsea when he's on and when he's fully fit. And I do think he will start on Saturday. But even though he made some poor decisions, like in the second counter, not finding Hudson-Odoi, I think part of that has to do with him not trusting Cho, and that was a mistake. But for the most part, when he has time and space, it's impossible to stop him without fouling. I mean, he's like Hazard, but he's faster than Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
Hazard, he had quick bursts, but Pulisic has top speed, as you saw against Man City in the restart. And I just think that when he focuses on his decision making, his athleticism is always going to be there. Just focus on your decision making, and you will be a top player, not just in the league but in the world. And then, lastly, Mateo Kovacic is my favorite player in football, and I thought that minus the foul at the top of the box, some of the stuff he did today was beautiful. And he's such a unique midfielder in the way he carries the ball. Kai Havertz also carries the ball very well, although so a taller, more upright player, more elegant. But those two guys are fun to watch together, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mount loses a couple more starts to Mateo Kovacic in the future.
Fair enough.
Yeah, buddy.
So
shout out to Olivier Giroud. I'm gonna give it to him. I'm gonna give it to him.
No, I get it. I mean, obviously, I don't think Lampard has anything against him. It's just the tactics we use, the way we play. I think we need like people like fast players, a little bit more pressing, attacking players. I think that's why Giroud just doesn't get into the team. And I think Lampard doesn't have anything against any player. It's just the way we play,
Well, Giroud's what, 6'4", 200 pounds? I mean, he's huge.
Yeah.
And he's 34. He's physically incapable of pressing the way Timo Werner presses. And that is not like Giroud's fault or anything, because he's way taller than Werner. He's way taller than Werner. So there are certain instances where he'll totally outmatch Werner, especially aerially. But when it comes to our press, which is a huge part of our game, and it's a huge part of why Mason Mount starts, Giroud can't do it, because when you watch him trying to press, it's slow.
Yeah.
It's slow. So, and that's nice. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, and I think that's why Tammy starts in front of him. And I think overall, when we look at Tammy, he's 23. He still has a lot to learn. But I think him as just being like at 23, I think just Lampard is like, let me just let Tammy play, let him gain experience. So I think in 2-3 years' time, I think Werner and Tammy are going to be like two complete different players. Yeah,
because Werner's 24. I think the game plan is for Tammy to be the backup to Timo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on Saturday that'll be the case as well. But look, they're different. Tammy's very tall. Werner, although Tammy does have pace, Werner plays more like a striker. Tammy plays like a hybrid between a hold-up man and a striker. Tammy can do both. But Werner is very much so a diagonal running behind type of guy, the way Luis Suarez used to do for Liverpool when he was in his 20s.
Yeah. Do you think Werner is going to start in the striker position against Leeds?
Yes. Do you want me to give you the lineup? I'll tell you what the lineup
Let's start with the lineup.
Sure. All right. 4-3-3, obviously, with two guys in front of the 1D mid. Okay, so we'll go. It's going to be Pulisic, Werner, and Hakim Ziyech. I think it'll be Mateo Kovacic and Kai Havertz, with Conte playing in behind them. Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Zuma.
Yes,
Love Zuma. And then the most flawless player in the league, not the best, but the one with no flaws, Reece James.
Yes. And then Bale Chilwell on the left back, right? Ben Chilwell.
Oh, yeah. Chilwell, Silva, Zuma, and Reece. And then obviously we got Kepa in net, right?
Yeah. I think Werner is going to be very necessary for against Leeds. I think because they have like a high line. I think it's very useful for them to exploit it. But I think now that Giroud has scored 4 goals, I don't think Lampard is going to be able to drop him. I think for the political reason, I think he's going to start him.
I think that he played too much today, and the game plan prior to the game was always going to be Werner comes on for 15 minutes and then starts against Leeds. And I think that it doesn't matter how many goals Giroud scored today, because the game plan is a week-long game plan, not a 3-day-long game plan. Timo needed a rest. Timo was going to come off the bench and then start just the same way that Conte did today. Yeah. Same way Conte did, same way Hakim Ziyech did. So Giroud, I just think we stick to the game plan. I don't want us to change anything just because he had this randomly extraordinary game. And I don't think Frank Lampard is susceptible to that either.
Yeah, probably Lampard is going to tell him to I'm going to start you in probably the other games.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess he's going to do that. I think Werner should start against Leeds, and I'm not sure about Pulisic. I think I don't know. I know that he's fit, but I think it's better for us to a little bit take it slowly. I think we know like what's the problem with his hamstring. We got to be a little bit careful with him, especially that we know that he's like such an important player, and we have to use him for the majority of the season. But right now, I think I don't know. I'll probably start with Tammy and Werner again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, with Ziyech?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, I like that front three too, man. It's not that we didn't play well against Spurs. You said we didn't finish.
Yeah. I agree. So, anything else to say on the Sevilla game?
Yes. If I had a chance to sell Cal Hudson-Odoi and then re-sign Ross Barkley and also sell him to Villa, I would want to buy Jack Grealish in January immediately.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Hudson-Odoi. I think every time I see him, I think he improves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall,
I know that a lot of people are. I'm not.
Yeah.
I hold a lot of things that he's done against him. I don't like his attitude. I don't like his body language. And I frankly don't think he's very good. But that is my bias. And part of it is because I'm 32.
No problem at all.
Yep.
We are here to listen different opinions. We are here to discuss different things.
I like it.
Yeah, so let's move to the Spurs game. The game that was very, very interesting, safe to say. And let's start with actually Spurs. The way that they lined up, Son on the right, Bergwijn on the left, I think that it meant I think, in my opinion, I think Son was trying to exploit the space behind Chilwell. I think Mourinho was expecting Chilwell to bomb forward. And then Bergwijn, I think he's a little bit more defensive-minded, I would say. So I think Mourinho put him there to, cover the Reece James, defend against Reece James. I think that's why he put Bergwijn on the left. But I think that game I was waiting for a win. I predicted that we're going to win like 2-0. Yeah. But Tammy missed a couple of chances. Ziyech missed his chance. But I think I was very mad that we didn't win against Mourinho. Let me just say that. I think Mourinho has just become a very, I would say, unlikable character in Chelsea fan base right now.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I like his personality, but just
Me
not
too.
Against Chelsea. Like, I don't want him win against Chelsea.
I think he's the best coach in the world, but that's just me.
Yeah. So what did you learn from that game? The Spurs game?
What I learned from the game was what I knew was going to happen before the game. Spurs were just going to sit and then try to exploit mistakes.
For sure.
And, you can go through all the fancy football language of trapping, counter press, all that stuff. But really what he wanted them to do was to let us have the ball and make a mistake and hope that either Reece James or Ben Chilwell are out of position.
Yeah.
And I think that Ben Chilwell in the first half was getting exploited a little bit, but Reece James, he still had a very good half. Now, It was more even in the first half. I thought they had a couple good chances. I thought in Ndombele, he had a couple good turns, and we stabbed a couple times in the midfield with him. He's a very, very good player, by the way. I like Ndombele. I think he's Dutch, but
he's French.
Is he? Oh, he's French.
Yeah.
Okay, he's French, and of course, of course. But other than that, I would say it's just a classic Mourinho first half. Second half, they really let us have the ball. And the interesting thing about it is that if this was Manchester United and Mourinho was coaching them, they would have gotten frustrated and then they would have gotten out of position. What happens when you're playing that style of especially defending is that it's difficult mentally and physically. And you have to move as a unit, and if one little pawn in the unit decides that they're not going to focus and stick to the game plan, you can exploit that weakness very quickly. And Spurs, to their credit, they are absolutely buying into the Jose Mourinho philosophy.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that winning helps when your manager says you're going to play defensive and counter. And when you're successful, you will you will eat it a little bit. You will say, I don't like this style of play, but it will help us win trophies. And so because they're winning, they are buying in. And I got to give them credit, even though we still had some serious chances that are baffling to me, especially Reece James and Tammy, that we did not finish.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we know Mourinho's game. I mean, he was our manager. We have to, yes, low blocks, counterattacks, just defensive shape. That's his game.
Shape. It's all shape.
Yep.
Of course it is.
I'm surprised that Aurier started. I was like, he's going to give away a red card. He's going to be like a little bit rushed with his tackling.
Who?
But Aurier, Serge Aurier.
Yeah. He's temperamental.
Yeah.
He kept his school too, man. Dude, Aurier even played well too.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, he's defending actually very good.
Yeah, I agree. And then Reguilon on the other side, it's a hell of a signing for them. Yes. It's a hell of a signing. He is very prototypical. He's like Felipe Luis. If Felipe Luis was actually good, that's what I would say about Reguilon. And then they have Højbjerg in the middle. He's very industrious. He's kind of like Declan Rice a little bit. Yeah. There's a little Declan Rice in his game. So those are very Mourinho players. He is getting very comfortable with the guys that he trusts, and he's starting to realize what his 11 is. I know he loves Dyer. In fact, if I was coaching Eric Dyer, I would like him too. But other than that, it's a really interesting team, and Dele Alli has no part of it.
Yeah. I mean, Mourinho likes, in my opinion, he likes like selfless players, the players that are willing to sacrifice their own game, their own pride for the sake of the team. I think he likes those type of players. And I think Højbjerg, like Doherty, Eric Dyer, those kind of players, the players I would say with no ego, I think they're like the best, like his favorite type of players. Like, Pogba, I think was the biggest representation of why he's not going to work. He's not going to gel well like with Mourinho,
Yeah. I mean, Dele Alli is just an exacerbated version of Pogba.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those types of guys, those me-first guys, it's just never going to work because Jose is an old-school guy, and this is all about team for him, and it's why so many players like Lampard, John Terry, Ashley Cole, God, I mean, that's why they worked with Jose at Chelsea because those guys were like, all right, we're going to buy in because we're going to win some damn trophies here. And this guy's crazy, but we're going to go with it anyway. It worked.
For sure.
Yeah.
What did you like the battle between Kovacic and Ndombele was pretty interesting because they are very like similar type of players.
Yeah.
And Ndombele's dribbling was very like super good. I've known him since he was in Lyon, and I know he's dribbling.
You followed him. That's great.
Yeah. And there was this moment that he turned like Conte and I think Mason at the same time. He just bursted forward. I was like, damn, crazy. Like he's easily getting past off like Conte. Like this guy's a serious
they both
player.
slalom the way that they dribble. It's interesting when they'll face one way and then they'll scoop it with the inside lace of their foot and they'll go with it to the other side. And the way that they dribble is very similar. And I think that part of that has to maybe do with the types of people that coach them growing up. And part of that's just instinctive style. But you're right. Those two players do play similarly. And it is a good battle. And I think that might have been one of the reasons why Kai Havertz didn't play, on top of the fact that he had a deadly virus that is killing everybody. But, I think Kovacic in there, his ability to dribble at a high level quickly with very little space is what makes him so unique. And Ndombele has the same exact type of thing. And, it was a great battle. Although I do think, as a whole, we have better midfield players.
Yeah, for sure.
They do have Sissoko. They do have Ndombele. They do have Lo Celso, who I really like. I really like Lo Celso. But as a whole, I think that we're deeper, and our best three is better than their best three.
Yeah, for sure. I think when Conte starts, I think our midfield goes to an elite level. We saw that like last year.
At D mid, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when he starts at D mid, yeah.
Yeah. I think he was actually pretty good in the right CM position to under Sarri. I think depends. I think he's like world-class players, they're always able to play like multiple roles. And I think
Sure.
Conte is one of those roles. One of those players. And I think him switching to the DM role, I think perfectly suits him. I mean, it's just a matter of times, like he fully learns like the position. Because in this position, you need to be a little bit more, I would say, patient. You have to be a little bit more analytical. You have to read the game better.
Mhm.
And I think over time, Conte is going to grow even more in this position, especially I don't want to say he's getting old because 29 in modern football is not that old, but I think him being a little bit more, I would say, less active, it's beneficial for him because it's gonna
Yes.
decrease the chances of injury for him. And I think for him when he's getting older, the DM role perfectly suits him, just like Makelele.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you say Makalele?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a couple of things with N'Golo Kante. Number one, when he was playing in the more advanced role, he got injured more often. Number two, he grew up playing D-mid. He plays D-mid for France. Whatever you guys want to call it, it's the center mid that sits in front of the center backs.
Yeah,
It has two attacking mids in front of him. All you guys have all these fancy names for it. Chacarista, all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's the holding mid position.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's what I called it when I coached. I'd say, you play holding mid, you guys play attacking mid, let's go. But on top of that, when your game is based on athleticism and only athleticism, that type of thing does age quicker.
Yeah.
And with Conte really focusing on distributing better, as well as being more restrained going forward, that will preserve his legs and allow more longevity to his game. So if he just sits and he can break up plays, and he wins the ball, and he's distributing to Kai Havertz, he's distributing to Mason Mount, he's giving the ball to Kova, as long as he can just sit there and dictate play. Now, he's never going to dictate at the tempo that Jorginho dictates, because although Jorginho was slow and non-athletic, the way he moves the ball is very quick and very precise and at a very high tempo, and he's been doing that for a long time. He did that in the lower league team that he played with Sarri before they went to Napoli. At Empoli. But he's always done that. But with Conte, my criticism of him in the D-man position, even including up to last year when he played against Leicester in the FA Cup, I believe quarterfinals, he was slow at distributing the ball side to side as well as vertically. And he has decided to take it upon himself to make tempo a priority in his game. And it does help that Kai Havertz and Mason Mount get into very advantageous and dangerous positions often when they don't have the ball, because their off-ball movement is superb. Kai Havertz, all of a sudden, he has completely bypassed the other team's midfield, and he's making a darting run for 30 yards right at the other team's center back, and you're wondering, how did he get into that position? Well, it's because his off-ball movement is superb, and that really helps Conte, right?
Yeah.
So if he's open and Conte doesn't have to do a whole bunch, he just picks his head up, makes that pass, it's a win-win, okay? Because, yeah, it's a win-win. And if he plays like that, I want Conte to be there. And then if we buy Declan Rice, 2-3 years, Declan Rice can just take over that spot.
For sure.
And I'm with you, by the way, on Declan Rice.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, like DM players are very, like, I would say they don't really catch the eyes of the people that much. I think
doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think that whatever they do, like the small things, the simple things they do, that's whatever affects the team. I think now that we see with Manchester City, they don't have Fernandinho, they got Rodri, he's not the same player, and we see how they suffer. Mm-hmm. Liverpool didn't have Fabinho, Real Madrid didn't have Casemiro. Yesterday they lost 2-0 to Shakhtar Donetsk. Yeah. I think the DM position is very important, and I just hope Conte plays in this level for like another 3 or 4 years, I would say minimum. So I think,
man.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important for us to play Mason Mount next to him, because he's pressing. I think when Conte played higher up the pitch, his pressing was world class. And now that we have him in a deeper position, we need another presser to replace him. And I think Mason Mount is the perfect guy.
Yeah, and Havertz. I mean, Havertz will do it too.
Yeah,
he's not Mason Mount. He has more energy than anybody else, but Havertz is not gonna. He's not lazy, and Ziyech. Yeah. Although I thought Ziyech was going to be lazy, he's not lazy either. These guys are serious players. And last thing I'll say is, it's interesting. When Makelele was at Real Madrid, they thought he was this primitive, simple, and ineffective player. And the president didn't like him. The fans didn't get it.
Yeah.
Right? And the team's just like, this guy makes 5-yard passes and wins the ball. He's not sexy. He's not a Galactico. And when he was at Chelsea, we're like, yeah, that's exactly what we want you to do. That's exactly what we want you to do.
Yeah.
5-yard passes, win the ball, keep it simple, keep the tempo. Don't do anything crazy because, I mean, it's not – number one, it's not your skill set. And Conte is a better dribbler than Makelele was. But still, it's just stick to what you know and perfect what you're good at. And you could be here for a while. And, I mean, Makelele was a genius at his game. He didn't want – to play another game, and he was never asked to play another game at Chelsea, only his own, and that is why he was successful.
Facts. I think now that we have Conte the Diablo, and you said he's not really, I would say, not the fastest passer. He doesn't really move the ball that quickly. I think nowadays we build our play mainly from the wide areas, like Chilwell and Reece James. They're the main important ball progressors in our team. I think last year if you had like Aspi and Alonso, I think there will be a way more pressure on Conte to perform in that position. But right now, whenever he's like, I can't find anywhere to pass, he just passes to Reece and boom, we are out of the press.
Well, it's a great transition for you because I know you and I both want to talk about Reece James and Ben Chilwell.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Paul's the guy I do my podcast with, what we would harp on all of last season was we wanted to utilize our outside backs the way, and this is speaking last year again, and I must preface that, the way that Liverpool and Man City used their outside backs.
Yes.
The problem was wanting to play that style and having the personnel capable to play that style are simply two different things. Okay? It's a round hole, square peg. Azpilicueta is a traditional defender. He's not an attacker. He looks goofy going forward. He's kind of slow. And then Alonso, unless he's playing really high up the pitch, he's too slow to get from our defensive third up to the attacking third on a counter. He's just far too slow. These guys simply couldn't do it. And I kept saying, God, we need to buy Ben Chilwell. We need to buy Ben Chilwell. We need to promote Reece James. We need to promote Reece James. And the entire time saying, no, Ben Chilwell, 80 million. I'm 80 million. I said, no, fuck that. They're not going to get 80 million during an economic crisis. And when they don't get Champions League, they're never going to be able to demand 80 million from a left back when they're not in a position of leverage. I said it will be 50 million. And what do you know? It was 50 million, and I was right because he's brilliant. And then Reece James, he's finally getting all these consistent starts. And again, like I said earlier, he doesn't really have any flaws. So these two guys, if there's a better combination of left back, right back together, aggregately as a tandem, in not just in England but in the world, I would like to see it. Because I think together they are the best left back, right back tandem in the world. Now, maybe that's hyperbole for some. It's not for me because what I see from them is one's 20 years old, one's 23. They're not even close to their prime, and they are already making us so much better, so much more dynamic, and they're changing our style of play. And like you said, they also help out Conte going forward and on the defensive end, and just being so great at attacking, it allows him to sit, and it allows Mason Mount to check over, or it allows Kai Havertz to get into the half spaces. You know, it just makes it so much more dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, fullbacks are one of the main pieces of the puzzle, like in this modern game. I think
100%. You have to have them.
How much did Guardiola spend on fullbacks? Like 200 million or something,
buddy. But so he's got 7 or 8 defenders in the back line, right?
Yeah.
They all cost between 50 and 70 million.
Yeah.
And none of them can defend. None of them can defend.
It's funny that they paid 50 for Mendy. He's struggling to get starts.
He's terrible.
Yeah, they played Zinchenko there, but he was an attacking midfielder. They had Delph. I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't like a proper left back.
Right.
And
while Guardiola loves to put people that are not defenders in defensive positions.
Yeah. And then now they're playing Cancelo in left back, which is crazy. I mean, they spent so much money and they still don't have a actual left back, like actual good left back. And I'm surprised that they didn't buy Chilwell. I'm surprised.
So am I. Am I, because he would have been that balanced guy that they wanted. He can go forward. He's flashy. He can whip in a ball. He scores goals. And he's a really, really confident defender. And the problem with Guardiola is that he doesn't prioritize defense. He thinks that the best defense is keeping the ball and keeping the other team on their heels. But the problem is you end up with players like Ben Mendy, who, for all the athleticism in the world, there is very little soccer IQ there. And he's just an athlete. He's just an athlete. And then you look at a player like Marcelo, right, from Brazil. He's both. He's very much athletic, but the guy is one of the best left backs of all time. Why? Because he prioritized both sides of the ball, because he understood both sides of the ball. Ben Mendy, I mean, he just doesn't get it. So it was just a waste of money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we have arguably the best fullback pairing in the league.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
Liverpool fans are going to debate Trent and Robertson. I think the system has made them look better. I think on an individual level, I think Reece James and Chilwell are way more closer to Trent and Robertson. I think it's pretty close, I would say, on a personal level. And I think Trent, for me, I know he plays right back for Liverpool, but it just doesn't look like a right back to me. Like, I feel like I get like David Beckham vibes, like a right mid.
You're not wrong, because he's not a great defender, especially not one-on-one.
Yeah.
And when you look at all the attributes of what you need out of a right back, both, going forward and defending, Trent is very lacking in comparison to Reece on the defensive side of the ball. He's nowhere near the defender that Reece is, and that's why I will say Reece James doesn't have any flaws, because he checks all the boxes. Now, is Reece James the best at everything? No, but he's not deficient at anything, because he can play anywhere.
Yeah.
But Alexander-Arnold often gets caught up too high, and when there's a counter or when he has to defend one-on-one, you see it a lot, whether they're playing Watford or Christian Pulisic. It doesn't matter. He gets beat a lot. And it just helped that he had a lot of cover with two center backs that are no longer there. And you will see him continue to get exposed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what game was it? I think it was I don't know if you remember the Manchester City-Liverpool game in Etihad, the season that City won it by 1 point.
Yeah, it was 4-3.
Yeah.
Aguero was offsides for the last goal.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I think Sonny scored in that goal. I remember, Sonny was on the left, and he was just constantly trying to get past off Trent, and Trent was struggling, really struggling.
Oh, he killed him.
Yeah,
he killed him. By the way, that's a left forward with a left-footed forward, something that you don't see very often. But with Sané, he's so direct. But yeah, I remember the exact goal you're talking about. And then Sané went. It was about 2 feet high and went near post.
Yeah,
he smoked him on that, and that's because Alexander-Arnold is not a great defender.
Yeah, I love Sané. I mean, before we got Ziyech, I was like, when his contract was about to expire, I was like, if we need a left-footed right winger, and I think Sané was the perfect guy in my opinion.
Yeah, I love him. He's so great.
Yeah.
I think he was hell-bent on going to what is obviously the best team in the world. And he fits in seamlessly with them. He speaks the language, he knows the culture. I'm surprised he didn't go there in the first place. But, he got better under Guardiola, and I guess the timing was perfect. And Bayern Munich were not going to be denied getting their replacement for Iron Robin.
Yeah. I mean, they already got 3 top-class wingers. They got Coman, Gnabry, and Sané. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and they have Musiala can play it, although he's more of an attacking mid. But he's, he decided to leave, so whatever.
Yeah, they got Douglas Costa too.
Douglas Costa, who's still good. Hey,
yeah, just
I still like Douglas Costa.
He's an entertaining player to watch.
Yep, yeah, he's got it. What else you got?
I was gonna talk about Mason Mount.
He's my father's favorite player.
Mm.
I think that Mason Mount is good. I don't think that Mason Mount is Frank Lampard. I don't think he will ever be Frank Lampard or Jack Grealish. I do think that Mason Mount is just incredibly effective. Yeah, and Lampard really highlighted this the other day, and he's totally right about this because so many players flatter to deceive. Ousmane Dembele is one of them, where it's a lot more style than substance. Mount is not tricky. He's not flashy. He's industrious, and he's effective. He's efficient, and he works very hard. He's an old school player. Obviously, he's got an old school mentality, but he is super important to us. Now, is he always going to start for us? No, and I don't think he should, because there are certain games where he is ineffective. But the effort is always there, and he can shoot. I'm surprised that Lloris got his finger on that, because that was a goal. But no, for the most part, he will always deserve a spot on this team. He's a 10-year player for us, and Lampard loves him and Southgate loves him. So people that don't like Mason Mount, I'm sorry, but people that are far smarter than you don't agree with you. So that's it. And a lot of these people that don't like Mason Mount online, these are 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I think nowadays, especially in social media, I feel like, I don't want to say people are dumb, but I think there is like a lack of knowledge.
Let's be clear. They are dumb.
There's a lack of knowledge. Like, they don't really know why a player plays like in a certain position. I remember they were criticizing playing Lampard, like Mason Mount playing in the wing. And obviously Lampard doesn't see him as a winger. It's just because of like a certain situations, like injuries or maybe like tactical reasons he's playing there. But it's just, we know that Lampard sees Mount as a number 8. And I don't know why people were going ham on Mason, just constantly sending him hate. Same thing with Tammy. They were like, the guy is 21, 22 last season. They were sending him a lot of hateful messages. I'm like, there is no reason. I mean, the guy's a young player. Let him grow.
By the way, any of those people that sent Tammy Abraham death threats, say that to Tammy's face. It'll go a lot differently, bud. You'll get your ass kicked. As for Mason on the wing, he played wing because Pulisic and Ziyech were injured. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. He's not a wing. He knows he's not a wing. Lampard knows he's not a wing. He was there for defensive cover. He was there for the press. And he was there because – and even Werner was injured at one time. Like, our 3 main attackers were simply not available. So that's why he played. There was no agenda against Callum Hudson-Odoi, which, by the way, if you look at the actual definition of agenda, it's a to-do list. It's not a negative campaign against somebody.
Yeah, of course.
That's not what an agenda is. An agenda is a to-do list. So these people online are morons. But no, Callum Hudson-Odoi was not starting because Callum Hudson-Odoi wasn't training well. And his attitude was bad. And Mason Mount, who's not a wing, was just like, all right, I'm just going to be a makeshift wing for 4 games while the other guys get healthy. Now they're healthy. You don't see Mason Mount randomly going on the wing because it doesn't help us. And it doesn't help him, and it doesn't help Lampard, and it doesn't help Chelsea. He's a half space midfielder, which means he's not 10. He's just a half space midfielder paired with another guy right next to him, and that's his perfect position. That's what he plays for Southgate. That's what he plays for us. Although sometimes I even saw him play central midfield for Southgate the other day, and he was fine.
Next to Rice, right?
Yeah. He was fine.
Yeah.
But he's just not a wing, and I think everybody knows that, including him.
I think last year he played, I don't want to say out of position, but it wasn't his natural position. He was kind of playing like a shadow striker, like a Muller type role last year. I think that didn't suit him too. I think a lot of people still were criticizing him. They thought it's just a number 10 role, just like Ozil, but it's pretty different,
So what he does, and this is what Havertz does very well. Also, people think that Havertz could play wing or striker, sure. But again, so there's a space between the outside back and the center back. It's called the half space. And it's also between the center back and the midfielder. So it's this awkward space where there's a lot of miscommunication, especially if you're playing zone, where you don't know if you're a center back, are you going to step? Is your outside back going to step? And then you're looking at each other. And that half space, if you have the ball and you exploit it, that makes the other team incredibly insecure because it's an insecure space. What if the center back steps and leaves his striker? That striker is going to go right in behind. Okay, so that's the difficulty of the half space. And Mason Mount is a half space master.
Yes.
He is a half space master. And so is Kai Havertz. That's what makes them so great together, is that they get in the awkward almost no man's land where the defenders of the other team don't know whose the role it is to step. And that's what they do very well. And that's why those two paired together with, Conte or eventually Declan Rice and behind, that's what makes us really difficult to anticipate and figure out and also plan for.
I mean, you described it perfectly. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't see these small things. I don't know. It's just
Oh, it's because I
yeah,
coached for 12 years, dude.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I had to know this stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's not even about coaching. I think if you watch football for a couple of years, you should be able to know like some of this like stuff.
A lot of people don't watch football. They just watch Chelsea.
I guess you're right.
They just watch the team that they're rooting for. I mean, I think yesterday I flipped through 5 games, and I didn't watch all of them, but no, I mean, you have to watch more than just your own team. And even if Genoa is playing or if Sampdoria is playing, check them out. See,
Yep.
I mean, like go watch Leeds. Go watch how random Leeds is. They play like a 3-1-3-3. It's the most random shit you'll ever see. And they get countered and scored on all the time, but it's amazing to watch Bamford like get into these ridiculous positions every 3 minutes. So it's a fun team. But yeah, go watch different stuff. That's how you learn different scenarios, because football, it's never the same thing. It's always a little different, and that's the best part about it, because there's no set plays. It's just calculated randomness.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays people are just looking at everything at like on a surface level. I think they have to up their knowledge a little bit.
It's
But
I have to tell you, I told someone this the other day, and they didn't like it. I told them, I think it was someone else that has a podcast. I said, just because Twitter allows everybody a voice, it does not mean that everybody deserves one. Okay? You got to have some standards to the people that you're listening to and the people that you're speaking to, because some people are just copy and pasting things that they've either read or that they've seen other people say that's completely out of context to what the situation they're trying to describe is in the present, and they just get it wrong. And it's obvious to see. It really is, like, you could just see it from a mile away if you watch football at all.
yeah, I mean, I think it's some of the pundits like in the TV, like they don't really talk about this small stuff, like especially in the UK like TV, like there are some pundits like they just don't really talk about the small stuff, or they just don't know about the small stuff. Like it's
Well, I
crazy.
think they know, but they want to appeal to a larger audience, and a larger audience doesn't really like minutia.
Yeah.
They like loud, bombastic claims that Roy Keane says, like, Manchester United is the most embarrassing thing since Margaret Thatcher. And it's like, well, no, not really. They're just not a very cohesive unit. But I mean, really, those pundits, they have to speak in generalities because they want to appeal to everybody and not just really smart football minds.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But again, I think the reason they bring pundits is to analyze the game. And I think they should do like a better job, I guess.
Maybe they should do a better job.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I'm disappointed too, but it is what it is.
Yeah, back to our fullbacks, Reece James and Chilwell. Let's talk about Reece James for a second. And before he made his Premier League debut, I was telling my cousin, I was like, this guy will be the best right back in the league. He was like, bro, like he hasn't even played in the league. How do you know? I'm like, just trust me, give him time. He's going to flourish. And then here we are a year and a half later. He's at least in a discussion of being the best,
I think he is the best in terms of most complete, because you have to be able to do both.
Yeah.
As well as cut inside, which he does masterfully. But yeah, it's interesting. And I think the multifaceted nature of Reece James is that growing up, he wasn't a defender, right?
Mm-hmm. I think he was mainly in a midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, he was a midfielder. He's probably even a little bit of an attacker. And it allowed him to be comfortable in all spaces of the game. If you've ever played football, and you only have one mindset, when you get into a certain spot or a certain situation in a game, you will be all of a sudden become very, not just uncomfortable, but insecure. And part of it might be because you just don't know what to do. You don't know what the right movement is for that situation. But with Reece James, because he can do it all, and with Wigan, he was Wigan Player of the Year, and a lot of it, he was playing defensive midfielder. He was playing destroyer, and it's a testament to how well-rounded he is. And you're right. I mean, were you talking about like U18 Reece James when he was playing for like Jody Morris and
Yeah,
them. Yeah. Guy had it, man. He had it early.
yeah. I
He's
think,
wonderful.
in my opinion, like Ricardo Pereira is the closest thing to Reece James. I mean,
Really?
I really like Ricardo Pereira. I think he's like very complete.
Yeah, man, let me think. Hmm. Yeah, that's fine. No, he's great, and it's insane to me that he's so prodigious and so complete at age 20. As long as he remains level-headed, and as long as he makes the priority to improve every year, because you always want to, even if you're great, always want to.
For sure.
Cristiano Ronaldo, every year he gets better and better. He's the best player I've ever seen. But Reece James, yeah, as long as he has that attitude, and I mean, if Lampard continues to be his coach, he'll never let him slip. So,
Yeah.
nah, Reece James is just, he was free, by the way. He cost no money.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. How extraordinary is that?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So great.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite like Chelsea content creators, I don't know if you know Nini.
I do know Nini.
Yeah, I think he like most of the videos he says like Reece James is like a player like Philip Lahm or like Kimmich, like they're easily able to play in the midfield and like in a wide area like on a fullback. I think I completely agree with him. I think he's such an accomplished like technical player. I think he can easily play in multiple roles.
Right. Here's the problem with that, because even Philip Lahm, I know that he was deployed in his last World Cup when they won it. He was deployed at defensive mid, and Germany struggled so magnificently at outside back that eventually he had to be moved back there.
Yeah.
Because he's still most effective at outside back. Lahm was a great player. The problem with being a utility guy is that there's a negative connotation that comes with you may be the jack of all trades, but you're the master of none. And I think with Reece James, he may be the jack of all trades, but he is still mastering right back.
Yeah, I agreed.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Sure, he's good at all the positions, but he's still very good at one position, which is unique, again, because it's rare. It's just rare.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know that many players that have like similar abilities to him. Like nowadays, you can probably say like maybe like Kimmich, maybe Marcelo. They're able to play in midfield. Who else?
I mean, Sergio Roberto for Barcelona.
Yeah.
That's but he's not at Reece James level. But
in
terms of plug and play, he does play multiple positions.
Yeah, he's decent. And
he's good. He's good.
The player that I'm about to name, he's able to do things like Reece James, and it's David Alaba. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think the guy, I remember like in his younger days, he was playing as a winger, and then he was an attacking midfielder, and then he was a fullback. Now he's a center back. I'm like, I don't know how he does that, but it's crazy that we are linked to him.
He's not coming to Chelsea.
No, I think we have a decent chance at getting him.
We're not paying him 350,000 pounds a week.
I heard he wants 280
to play center back. What?
280, I think.
I've read 350.
That's
so
crazy. If it's 350, that's crazy.
If it's 280, I will be more open to an idea that I still inherently do not like. But if it's 350, there's no way, and it really boils down to self-awareness.
Yeah.
He's good. He will not have the career that Thiago Silva has had.
Yeah,
he will not. Very few players outside of Fabio Cannavaro, obviously John Terry. I mean, these guys are legends, like true legends. And I even think Chiellini has been very, very good throughout his career, but still, I mean, not Maldini. But the thing is that with David Alaba, the fact that he's asking for that much money, it makes me think that he thinks he's better than he is. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. I think that is an attribute when you introduce him to a locker room that can cause some division. And I don't know. I've heard some things about his attitude that I don't want to introduce to a locker room that is otherwise really friendly with one another.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more vocal in the sense of attitude, I would say. I guess is the right word. I think he's more open to criticize the decisions of the manager. Or
Yeah, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, I think he's like a little bit more Pogba-esque character.
Yeah, and look how that's working out for them, man.
Yeah, but I think on the footballing reasons, like I think he's perfectly capable of playing in a left center back role.
Yes.
Especially that Thiago Silva is 36, 37 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know that Thiago has been playing superb this past couple of games, but I think when we want to play like in a very pressing system, I think we're gonna need to be able to like have like at least a decently like fast center backs in the position. Yeah. And I think in order to cover for Chilwell, I think Alaba is gonna be perfectly useful.
So here's something, and I floated this by this person on Chelsea Twitter that I love very much. It's a female named Jessica Frota. She's Brazilian, and we were talking about this the other day because Thiago Silva is going to have one more year on his contract. Yeah. He's going to extend, and Chelsea's definitely going to extend him. So he'll be with us until the summer of 2022. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I would like, not as a cost-saving measure, because if Chelsea wants to buy a player, Chelsea will buy a player. But what about this Xavier kid? Very tall.
Yeah.
He's Dutch, right? Yeah. And what if we moved him along the way that we moved Reece James, the way that we moved Tammy Abraham, the way that we moved Callum Hudson-Odoi along? Let him play U18, U23s, and see if in 2 years he's not someone that we can just play and plug in there to take over. I mean, not take over for Thiago Silva, but by that time, 2 years from now, Zuma will be even better. What if we give that a try? I don't want to be married to David Alaba if in 18 months we realize that it was a mistake and his contract is enormous and so are his wages, and we're stuck with the guy that we don't like.
That's a big problem of this situation, I think. I think one of the things that kind of went under the radar is I don't want to say he's injury prone, but I think there were like a couple of big injuries in the last couple of years. I think no one is really talking about it. I think this past 2 seasons, I think he was able to keep himself fit, but I think that could be another concern. Like when he gets older, maybe it's gonna cost him at some point.
And he had some pretty public spats with Bayern Munich's executives. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I know that we won a league with Diego Costa, but that was tumultuous as well. I mean, it was some of the stuff that I heard, and I know that part of it should have just been that Antonio Conte should have just let it go. But I mean, he's Italian, he's too prideful, and he's just like, "Well, screw you, Diego, you're gone." And he fired him over Texas. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it's great, but like, I would rather have guys within our locker room that know how big of a deal it is that Frank Lampard is their manager. He's what? One of the 3 best players to ever play in this league, in the English Premier League. What, him, yep. Thierry Henry, Wayne Rooney? I mean, he's one of the 3 or 5 like best ever.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. And so, I mean, so just like that level of respect that these guys have for him, does David Alaba know that? And even if he does, like on paper, does he understand that there's no bullshit at our club? I mean, Callum Hudson-Odoi this season has found it out pretty in the hard way that like what Frank Lampard says goes. And if you're not willing to put the effort in, and if your attitude sucks, you simply won't play.
Yeah.
That's it. So I don't know. I would like to explore some other alternatives to replace Thiago Silva in 2 years.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we obviously have we still have Tomori, we still have Mark Guay. He's getting some game time.
Yeah, did you see Sarr yesterday?
Oh yeah, Sarr Porto. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, if you don't sign him, it's just like
from Manchester.
It's just an option for signing Alaba, but I think overall, even if you don't sign him, you're perfectly fine in that position. As you said, we had Xavier and Boyamba.
Count how many we have, including the people on loan.
We have Boyamba, Tomori, Sarr, Guehi. I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
Andreas Christensen,
yeah,
Kurt Zuma and Antonio Rudiger and Ethan Ampadu. That is 8 center backs.
We still have what was his name? Daniel Simeu, I think he's still in academy. He's like in the U18s.
Jake Clark Salter.
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many.
By the way, it is too many. We need
Yeah.
to sell 6 of those guys. But
It's kind of sad to like some of these players. Not some, probably majority of them are going to get sold at some point.
but here's the thing. You have a guy like Conor Gallagher who knows that he will probably not make it as a first-team player at Chelsea. But, dude, he's going to have a great career.
Yes.
And I think that he benefited so much from coming out through the Chelsea system, us really helping him get 2 strong loans. And people were like, West Brom. We're like, yeah, West Brom. Let him do his thing. Even if the team doesn't play that great of football, let him improve. And he has. Now, he won't come back to Chelsea. We're going to sell him, but he's going to have a great career. So it's not sad that not everyone ends up at Chelsea, especially if it's a type of situation where it's a Mo Salah, it's a Kevin De Bruyne, and eventually it'll be a Conor Gallagher, because those guys benefited from being with us. And Gallagher really because he came up with us. Salah and KDB were more mercenaries, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I guess only time will tell that what's going to happen to these young players.
We'll
I mean, we still have Loftus-Cheek. I mean, I'm a big fan of Loftus-Cheek. I hope at some point he's going to get his chance. Like, again, I think maybe next season. Who knows?
He's not better than Kai Havertz.
No, I think Kai Havertz has a higher ceiling. I think that's for sure. I think he's perfectly able to like debutize as like a squad player.
Yeah, but do you think he would ever want to do that when he has aspirations to get back in England on the England team? Like, you have to understand, like, these guys, as much as we would want them to be cool being subs, it doesn't mean they're cool being subs.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he kind of has to look at himself. I think he's not the most fit player, not as a fit, like, I think he's sort of injury prone. I think
he is.
Maybe being a squad player, I think he's going to suit him, but who knows? Let's go to the I would say my favorite topic, Pulisic. Obviously, we both live in America, and I think he's our star boy. He's our star boy, and I think this guy has truly last season, obviously when they came back from the vacation, I would say the guy showed what he's able to do. Yeah. Crazy pace, crazy dribbling, fantastic finishing ability. I mean, when we bought him for 16 million, I thought it's a little bit overpayment, but right now I'm perfectly happy with the price.
So there's a couple things. Number one, if you've ever seen the cartoons that Bleacher Report puts out about Frank Lampard and Pulisic yelling at each other, it is so funny. It was just like, shut up, Christian. it's all this funny shit. All right, so with Pulisic, in my opinion, when he is at top form, he is the best player on our team. It's my opinion. It's not my American bias because he has not been great for America.
Yeah.
But on this team, when he is in top form, he is wonderful. The problem is that it's not just that he's injury prone. It's that I think he's a little immature. And at the beginning, I was questioning whether Frank Lampard was a little anti-Pulisic with the way that he would randomly not start him, or he would, say that he was injured when I was suspecting that he was healthy. And after this last little row where he gets injured in warm-ups, I started to change my tune about Lampard. Because before I was blaming Lampard, I was like, this is anti-American sentiment, and Lampard just doesn't like him, and this is bullshit. I really think that it's Pulisic not knowing that he's ready, but Lampard knowing that he's not ready yet. And then when Pulisic goes on an American publication, which he does all the time, and says, yeah, I'm 100% healthy. I'm ready to go. And then Frank Lampard feels this pressure to put him in. Sometimes he's not ready to go. And I don't think he's 100% in tune with his body because of how, and I mean this in a mobility type of way, how violent he plays. Like the way his body moves, it is a violent, fast, aggressive movement.
Yeah.
Just his style of play because he's so assertive and he's so fast that it, he almost doesn't have full control of his body, and therefore he doesn't know when he's pushing it too far, and that'll make him more injury prone. And I'm starting to understand what Frank Lampard is saying when he's like, look, this guy's amazing, but if we burn him out, he could be another Brazilian player that crashes and burns by 26 like Alexander Pato.
Yeah.
And I think Lampard is cognizant of that, and I'm starting to really sympathize with Lampard saying, We know everybody knows he's good. We know everybody wants him to play, but we have to be careful. And I am starting to understand that, even though we do need him to win the league. Without him, we will not win the league.
And I think I don't know. I think Lampard was looking for like another winger in summer. I think because
he was looking for Saeed Benrahma.
I think he knows that Callum Hudson-Odoi is still not that level, and then Pulisic is obviously injury prone, and then the only winger we have is Ziyech. So I think, I don't know, maybe getting another winger would be useful. I think Benrahma now is in West Ham, but I think another guy would be good. I think probably I wouldn't be against bringing back Jeremy Boga from Sassuolo.
He's all right.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. I don't know.
You know what? I think winger, I think he's a little bit more of an attacking midfielder than a winger.
That's exactly. He's a half-space guy. He doesn't play on the touchline. He plays more inside. He's more like an inside forward. He's good. He's good. But is he Chelsea quality? No, I don't think so. I mean, if you're looking for a wing, is it Chukwueze?
Yeah, it's from Villarreal.
Yeah, dude. He's great.
He's
great. And I mean, he's what we thought Liam Bailey was going to be. But he'd be expensive. I thought Saeed Benrahma was going to be the guy, and I thought, he'd be cool with being a backup winger.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I thought Felipe Anderson 2 years ago was also going to be that guy, but he was not been. Who would you want to buy?
I'll be honest, maybe giving Ousmane Dembele a shot. I like him.
Of Barcelona?
Yeah, Ousmane Dembele. I know his injury record is pretty crazy, but
he's so unprofessional. Come on, man. Why do you think he gets injured so often? Because all he does is eat McDonald's, and he doesn't hydrate, and he doesn't warm up properly. He doesn't train properly. He gets injured all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, Ousmane Dembele. I'm gonna have to go with a no on that one.
Yeah, I know. I get why you say no. I mean, he's a little bit of a problem. I think his discipline isn't there.
Yeah, he was sensational today, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
Yeah, we were talking about the Pulisic problems.
So I just think it's the injuries, it's his little lack of maturity. But I mean, there's so many plus sides to him, and on top of that, no right back wants to defend him.
Yeah,
you could just tell that body language when he gets the ball. It's like, damn it. You know what I mean? I think it's as simple as that. He's great. We just need to keep him healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think?
I think all he needs to do is just mature a little bit. I think over time, we're gonna see his true potential. And if he gets lucky with injuries and doesn't get injured for the next couple of seasons, I think the sky's the limit for him.
I mean, he's not just going to be one of the best players in the country. I think he could be a top 10 player in the world.
For sure.
I think his ceiling really is so high, but he has to be so careful about how he approaches the next 2 to 3 years, because everybody thought Raheem Sterling was going to be a top 10, top 5 player in the world.
Yeah.
And he has not gotten there.
Yeah. But Carlito, I think that's it. Thank you for coming to my podcast. Obviously, you want to plug your Twitter and your YouTube channel. That would be perfect.
Oh, I don't have a YouTube channel, but no, it's all good.
Oh.
But London is Calling podcast. We swear a lot, but we have a lot of interesting things to say. And my partner, Paulinho, is the best co-host in the world. Thank you for having me on. I had a good time. This was fun, man.
Yeah. I hope I'll come to your podcast.
Of course. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah. And anything else to say?
Yes. Frank Lampard, do not be persuaded by one outlier abnormal game like the one that happened today. Stick to the plan of Pulisic, Timo Werner, and Ziyech, or Timo Werner, Tammy Abraham, and Ziyech. That is the front three going forward.
Yeah.
Do not let Giroud or his cries for more playing time because he wants to play in Euros one last time with France. Don't let any of that persuade you. You stick to the game plan, Frankie, because we're going to get some silverware one way or the other. We will win something this
100%.
season.
But yeah, guys, that was it. Make sure to follow Carlito's Twitter page. I'll put the link down below.
Cool.
And drop a like on this video, and see you later for the next video. Bye-bye.
See ya.